how did The Lord of the Rings come about?
I auditioned for it, like everyone did. Everyone went up for Lord of the Rings. So I went down to London and went on tape with a casting director. And those tapes went off to Peter Jackson in New Zealand. And then him and his partner Fran kind of did a tour of the world where they sort of 4 or 5 people for each part in each city. So they stopped in New York, Los Angeles, London, Sydney, you know, and saw sort of 5 people for each part. And basically about 2 weeks after that I got a phone call saying, you know,
You're in?
yeah, I was actually first cast in the movie. That was the weirdest thing, is they said, look, Pete Jackson's wants to give you a call in the next couple of days, when would be good? And I said, well, whatever, and I gave them times. And I remember he called when I was on the bus going from Glasgow to Edinburgh to keep working on this play, and I was like, hello, you know, trying not to let people hear. And he was like, you sure you want to do this, because it's going to be, you know, a couple of years in New Zealand? And I was like, yeah. And
he must have thought there's no enthusiasm here, because you're trying to keep your voice down.
Yeah, exactly. But it was, and then, you know, when I was asking him who else is in it, there was no one else in it at that point. So then I spent the next kind of 3 weeks reading all the rumours online and in papers that it's going to be Al Pacino, it's going to be whoever, you know. There's hundreds of names thrown about while I read the book, because I'd never read the book. I'd upgraded myself to the train. So I went from the bus, I used to get the train through for this play now, and I would read the book, you know, 45 minutes there and 45 minutes back at night. Yeah.
It was a long time to be away, it was a long time to be working on the same project that was obviously 3 separate films. How did that work? I mean, were there moments when it was tough?
There was times when it was really tough, especially, you know, different people at different times. I'm not a huge fan of night shoots. Nights for sleeping, as far as I'm concerned. And there was a long time when we did night shoots, when we were outside Moria, and it was wet and it was cold, and these hobbit feet that we used to wear, if they would take in water but wouldn't let them back out, so you were standing in cold puddles the whole time, you know. And there was times when it was just really hard, you know. But there was a thing that Richard Taylor used to say, who was the head of Weta, who did all the special effects. And whenever his people were getting tired or anything, he would say, look, we're making Lord of the Rings, you know. This will be on screen forever. And then you'd go, yeah, that's right, I've just got to go over this for 4 hours and I can go to bed, and, you know.
Do you think you were prepared for the excitement and the reaction of people when the first of the stories came out, if you like, or when the film first screened?
I don't think I was. I don't think anyone was. But I think what people forget is there was always a chance these films were going straight to video. At that time, nobody knew that they were going to be the big success that they were. You know, it was a huge gamble on New Line to put so much money into making these films, and there was a chance that it could have went to video. In fact, so much so that Pete Jackson took a gamble as well. All films, the 3 films were supposed to be finished in a year and a half, and he really lent it towards the first movie. He spent most of the time making sure the first movie was the movie that he wanted to make, in a gamble that it was going to do well. And the gamble paid off, which meant we all went back for about 5 months to finish the second one, and then the same again to finish the third, you know.
It's very clever, actually.
He's a very clever man, you know, and fearless, you know. And so I don't think any of us were expecting, and it kind of knocks you off your feet for I was pretty kind of ungrounded, I think, for a while.
You were also involved with the Scottish Youth Theatre and their campaign to raise money. Is that possibly just because of your own love of theatre and the fact that you came to it a bit later than you may have liked?
Yeah, I think so. Especially people in kind of working class backgrounds, I don't think they get enough they don't in some ways feel that it's for them, whereas it is, you know. And I'd worked with Mary McCluskey when I was doing amateur sort of, you know, musicals, whatever. and she's now the head of the youth theatre, and I just like the idea that it's there if people want to use it, and they've got such great facilities now in that building that they've got in town, and yeah, I think it's really important to have that in a society, you know.
And your charity work extends to fair trade and one or two others that clearly, you know, on a personal level, like the Princess Cater's Trust.
Yeah.
Why those particular charities?
The Princess Trust for Carers kind of came from my sister Margaret. My grandmother lived till she was 100, and the last, you know, few years, Margaret sort of gave up working to look after my gran, and I know how much work that was, and how much help these people should be given and are not given. I think it's kind of easy for the government to kind of forget it because it's saving so much money that they kind of go, well, just let that happen. Whereas, you know, these people should be applauded and given the help that, you know, as much help as we can, you know.
And what of the future? What's, you know, up and coming?
I just finished a film called Carmel, which was great fun, in a city called Carmel in California, and did that with Alfred Molina, wonderful actor, and Lauren Bacall. That was great. Yeah.
What was she like?
She was great. What a character. Oh, you know, I mean, obviously she has the greatest stories of anyone you'd ever meet, so having dinner with her was always great. And more than me being excited, kind of talking to her, I was excited that Jack was there, you know, because I thought this would be great to tell Jack that he'd dinner with Lauren Bacall.
Because he's only 3.
Yeah, and he, you know, he was just playing with toys, nothing.
Oh, that's amazing. And what about filming in Scotland, anything? Because film industry here is still a bit kind of, you know, hit and miss.
I know, it's a real shame, and I try to work here as much as I can, and I like it knowing that, you know, I want to be in Scottish stories because, like I say, I'm very proud to be Scottish, and I don't think enough stories are told, you know, and there's great filmmakers here, and maybe earlier on when we were talking about why did you want to become an actor, and I said, you know, Star Wars, which was a major thing, but probably even more than that was Bill Forsyth movies, Gregory's Girl, Local Hero, because I went to cinema and I understood that world, you know. I thought, these are the only movies I'm seeing that's kind of about the world that I live in, you know. And so I think there should be more Scottish stories told. And I love going to festivals and seeing a story from Sweden or Lithuania or something, and you get a little look into someone else's culture and life, you know. So the more of those sort of movies made in Scotland, the better, I think.
Hanna chicas sa bí nach bit chagan gyrania a facal chu joprach agus an orsna gal lantin course grama is show an glaschu. Smar a chonna sin betrache be chagan gevaun a hart de mór an gönjele me hina misk. Hat je doch een urutan. Hat du mis sul kjarsten i kasmeke.
I'm running, yes, I'm running, but I've lost direction.
Can't believe we got that last note after 2 weeks off. Well done, Billy. John, Rick, gold star.